the Article 3 project. Will, we're so happy you're joining us for your first time on our show. Yesterday, there was just win after win for the Trump legal team. So we're happy you're going to be here with us going through all of this. Look, we saw Judge Cannon come out with her claims that she's going to hold off on going forward with the trial. CNN, I had the honors of listening to CNN yesterday. CNN's telling their audience that this has to do with there just being an abundance amount of evidence against the president, and she needs time to go through it all. But that's not the case, right?
No, I don't think it's the evidence that she needs to go through. There are just a lot of pending motions that need to be resolved. There also is that there are evidentiary issues because there's so much classified evidence at stake here. And the Smith team has not been helpful to the Trump defense in terms of making it easy for their lawyers to review the classified evidence. It was always kind of ridiculous to assume that trial would occur now, given the complexity of this case in particular. Already all the cases against President Trump are very complicated because of the fact that he was president and had unique powers, and indicting him presents unique threats to the constitutional structure. But then you add the classified information bit on top of that, and this Florida case was always going to be delayed. But there's just a really good chance this never sees trial. There's one of the things that Judge Cannon is going to be hearing is a motion on whether or not Jack Smith needs to be disqualified because he wasn't properly appointed as a special counsel, since he's not a Senate-confirmed attorney. If you're not a Senate-confirmed officer, then you can't wield the prosecutorial power of the United States unless you can point to a specific officer who's making the decisions for you and authorizing what you do. And the special counsel doesn't really have that. They only give, intermittent briefings to Merrick Garland, but they have a lot of independent authority, which means they need to be Senate-confirmed. And Jack Smith wasn't. He was just a private citizen before he was yoinked back from Europe to go after Trump. That doesn't cut constitutional muster.
Yeah, and that was a lot of the concerns at the beginning of all of this, that he didn't have the authority to be the lead prosecutor in this. And so it's interesting to see that come back to the surface. I also want to discuss something that I thought was interesting. Over these last few days, Judge Cannon has been pretty much just bringing out a lot of the evidence that they were presenting against the president. Jack Smith wanted a lot of things redacted. And then when she started unredacting them, you started noticing a theme here. And it was that the prosecutors weren't being honest. They've been working with the National Archives for quite some time now. And it seemed like, just from an outside non-legal perspective, that the judge in this case wanted to expose what was going on to the president by releasing it to the public and having them all kind of look at it and decide for themselves. So do you think Judge Cannon is maybe in favor of just getting rid of this case altogether based on all of the things that she's pointing out and unredacting and releasing to the public?
I think it's not that she wants to or doesn't want to. I think Judge Cannon is just trying to follow the law here. And so if there is a good, solid argument to dismiss this case, I think she'll go ahead and do it. I don't see her, unlike a lot of the judges in the other cases, I don't see her as motivated by a political objective here. I think she's just trying to follow the law. And I think, it's not like Trump has gotten universally favorable rulings from Judge Cannon. He hasn't, rather. But I think that's what will happen here is that I think the case ultimately will be dismissed because I think that the kill shot argument for Trump and his team is this argument that Jack Smith wasn't properly appointed as special counsel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we'll see how that plays out. We will watch that closely. I want to also talk about what happened yesterday in Manhattan. Stormy Daniels did testify, and she was trying to make light of the situation, and it didn't really go over well, according to reports with the jury, cracking jokes, giving details, and saying things that she shouldn't have said while taking the stand. Things were so bad for her that even CNN, a former Clinton federal judge, had to really call it all out. Let's take a listen to that.
The material that came in was not relevant to this criminal case at all. And I think it shows that she was trying to get Trump. I actually thought there was a motive there. She said she hates him. She said she'd like to see him in prison. I think she was purposely throwing out this stuff to make sure the jurors were prejudiced, particularly the women jurors, but probably half of the men too, were really put off.
So, Will, what was your takeaway from that? Because from what we were hearing, a lot of people, even in a New York City jury, which is obviously going to be biased, they were very taken back by what they heard on the stand yesterday. What was your takeaway from yesterday?
Yeah, I think she's an extraordinarily ineffective witness. She's just not credible. She's already owes Donald Trump $600,000 in judgments due to her failed defamation cases that she filed against him and lost. That was our good friend Harmeet Dillon who won those cases and won attorney's fees for Donald Trump that she has not paid yet. She said she hates Donald Trump. She said she wanted him destroyed. She owes him money. She hasn't paid. She said she won't pay. That's the kind of witness who just has a motive to see the guy put in jail, to have his resources drained. I mean, she's actually a directly interested witness in the sense that if Donald Trump goes to jail and is financially hurt, it'll make it much harder for him to pay the legal fees necessary to collect on the judgment that he has against her. So that's just one reason. I think all the sex talk apparently really annoyed Judge Merchan, but apparently that's Judge Merchan's fault. The Trump legal team actually filed motions in limine right before the trial starts, saying you shouldn't let Stormy Daniels talk about any of her sexual encounter with Donald Trump, other than like the bare minimum establishing the fact that they did have sex. I'm not even saying that I can see that point. Rather, I'm not even obviously Trump denies that and there's no evidence that they actually did have sex, but rather the point being that it's not relevant to go into all this lurid detail to hurt him. And, but like she wanted to do that because she wanted to hurt him. And I think, oddly enough, it just backfired entirely. I suspect that the jury's going to look at this case and wonder what the hell is going on.
Yeah, well, we hope so. I mean, it's outrageous that they even allowed those details to be heard yesterday, and I think it just highlights again the judge in that case and the lack of professionalism too with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. We know that they're desperate to go after the president, and I think that they're going to extreme lengths to do so. And so we'll see how it all plays out. Will, thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate your insight on all of this.
Thanks, Breanna. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.